Oh, your mic's off. You're on mute, sir.
If I was any better, there'd have to be two of me.
Nice. I like it. Tim, how you doing? Are you still on? Did we lose Tim? There he is. Is your mic on? Tim Rose, welcome to the meeting. Hey there. All right, awesome. Well, we've got a pretty good group of folks and it's 10:32, so I'm going to get started. So this week in launch, I know the last 2 weeks we went over the offer to purchase in great detail. This week is more of a check-in. I've got a few bits of helpful information to share and want to get some feedback from you. So it's going to be a little more of a conversation than the last couple of weeks, which is great. I definitely don't need to be talking the entire time, but I'll provide some helpful info to you as well. Was everybody pretty much in the meeting this morning? Just in case I reference anything from there. Okay. Cool. Awesome. So as far as where we stand with things right now, you saw in the meeting, we're still seeing every reason to be doing business still. Even though we're seeing a slowdown in showings, even though we're seeing things moving at a slower pace in some regard, there is still a lot of business to be had. An example I'll give you was from last weekend. Excuse me. So I had a new listing in Bayview. It was south end of Bayview. Honestly, not the perfect location. It's kind of close to a gas station. It's across the street from a parking lot, but it's a cute house. It's nice pictures. Those sellers weren't sure how they wanted to navigate the market. So we put it out there as active in MLS. I had photos I had taken a couple of months prior with my photographer, so we just happened to have those ready to go. We put it out there to see what kind of interest there was and immediately got a lot of strong interest. Now this was at 155,000, so it's a really approachable price point. What we ended up doing was putting the listing only available for showings on Saturday. So from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. every half hour, no overlapping showings, and very specific instructions. They had to wear a face cover, nose and mouth. We provided gloves, hand sanitizer, shoe covers. All the lights were on, all the cabinets and things were open, so they didn't have to touch a lot of stuff. And we asked that they only brought in the buyer and the agent and not like the whole family or the roommate or the friend who has an opinion, like just the buyer and their agent. And that actually went really well. We had back-to-back showings all day. I went in at 7, I staged the whole house. I took a video, I was out by 9. And then I came back at 4, unstaged the house, and we had an offer by 5 o'clock. We had 2 actually. So we ended up getting a great offer, really excellent terms, a very motivated buyer. It was a perfect scenario. So my point being, if you have people who are thinking about buying or selling and they're in a good position in terms of their job, and they're just waiting for the market to like do whatever they think it needs to do to be like better, now is a great time to be out there. It's a great time to be listing your home. There is so much competition, like you saw in the numbers. Prices are going up. Homes might not be selling as fast, but I think a big factor in that is how much people are willing to have showings if they're pushing that out a bit. And in terms of being a buyer, there's less competition right now. If showings are down 40-something%, that's that many fewer buyers out there. But I will tell you, it does not mean there's no competition. There are still multiple offers, but instead of 7 offers, there's 2. So, you know, it's good for people to get that opportunity, the ones who might be a little bit more shy about competition. So point being, it's a great time to motivate people if they're in a good financial position, that there is a market right now. And it's just a matter of understanding the difference between now and 3 weeks ago. that things are moving a little slower pace, but there is for certain business to be had. So if you're working on your top 5 or you're focusing on, you know, things at home, if you're trying to find some motivation to do business, I will tell you business is happening. I got 2 accepted offers last week. It's not the pace I'm used to in the spring, but it's better than nothing. So keep pushing, keep contacting your people. I was going to talk about something in the meeting today, and it got pushed off to next week regarding how to use your time. And I'm going to address that a little bit today. And then I'm going to touch on a few books that I think are worth looking to. And I'm going to try to make more of a habit out of that. I love learning new information. And so I'm going to be sharing podcasts and books that I recommend every week. So it's another reason to tune in. So now I want to find out from you guys, what are you finding is your biggest challenge right now? Within the last week to 3 weeks, type in some things, or if you want to pop on and talk, I want to know what's really challenging you right now so we can address those things. It could be small, it could be high level. Everyone's having a perfect week. Everything's coming together beautifully.
Start it out. My stuff has been, my hurdles have been all personal hurdles, just health things and stuff like that. So I will fully admit that in the last probably few weeks, last month probably, that I've taken a step back and just switched focusing on other things. I feel like the fog is starting to lift. And so I'm kind of starting to refocus and get back into the swing of things and hold myself accountable to what I'm capable of doing. So that's
awesome. Me. That's great. Anybody else having a similar experience or something else that's kind of, you feel like is holding you back or as a roadblock? I see Anna wrote in, let's see. Great, Anna's microphone's not working. Needs assistance with 2 showings in Waterford and Racine. So if anybody is available to help, that's an excellent opportunity if you're comfortable getting out there, you know, practicing safe health standards to do that. T Brown, she says things are coming together. Her buyer's closed and she's on to the next transaction. Woo! Celebrate.
Yay.
Alex, here's one in your contacts. Database, how do you evaluate them for who might be a good referral source versus just a name? Okay, we can touch on that. Peter spoke with a sphere of influence person who tried a FSBO that was likely a flip, a working man's cottage in Bayview. I'm going to see him tomorrow to try to get the listing. Awesome, yes. Especially right now, it's really important if you're listing your home to have an agent, because we have viral contact with people, right? We have, that's a terrible word to use right now, but we have online contact with people, you know, through the MLS videos, etc. It's a really important part of selling a home right now. So it's a great way to help them see your value. Peter's going to need help on the CMA. He thinks he's trying to get too much. You're probably right. I feel like a lot of flippers get themselves into that position because they're not informed about the sell value on the other side. Well, I first want to address what Shannon mentioned, and I think mindset is always huge. It's always and forever a challenge that I overcome and then fall back, you know, fall back away from, and then I feel like I'm strong again, and then I'm having a hard week. And I will tell you, this is a very big part of being successful in business for yourself, is being able to overcome or being able to control your mindset. In the meeting this morning, Robert was talking about what matters and what you can control. Mindset is a huge part of that. I always tell people when they ask what it's like to be self-employed, oh my God, it looks like so much fun. You love what you do. And I do. But the thing that is most challenging to me is getting my head right every week, every day. When those crummy things happen, like a buyer I've been working with, I sold them their house 4 years ago, and now they want to write on a FSBO with their lender. Cool. That doesn't make me feel like crap. So you got to figure out ways to overcome those situations and feel really solid in what you do and what you offer, and trust that things are going to work out. If you're putting in the good, it's going to come back to you. And there's going to be bumps along the way. There's going to be challenges and distractions. So really allowing yourself time every day and every week to pay attention to and acknowledge where you are mentally, emotionally, is really key. And it's not just true during this kind of weird time where everybody's heightened emotions and feeling stuck and kind of out of routine. It just makes something that's already there more obvious, I think. So I'm seeing this as an opportunity. I have more time on my hands. I'm doing less running around. It's a really good time for me to refocus on the stuff that's really serving me and the things that aren't. Because as we get back into our normal, it's up to you to decide what you're going to keep and what you're not going to bring back into your life. So one of the things that is in this kind of structure and accountability that I was going to talk about in the meeting today that I'll address next week, but is having some really specific points that you're hitting within your day. And I think when you're coming back from a challenge, whether it's health or adjusting to the way schedules are right now, having kids at home, not getting the energy you usually get from being in front of people in real life, is my challenge. So there are some things you can do to really get yourself set up for the day. And this, if did anybody see what I posted in the Facebook group a while back about like a block schedule that you could set up? Yeah. So in that schedule, it's basically 11 hours of scheduled time, which is a little overwhelming, I have to be honest, from my perspective. But I'm pulling out some pieces that I think are really important that address some of these things that you're working with, and also helping you figure out like how do I spend my time right now? I'm supposed to be doing this top 5. I'm also trying to be doing my business. I want to get the CMA together. I need to figure out a script for working with this person. Here's some main pieces that I pulled from this that I think are helpful and I think give you an opportunity to address mindset and continue to do business while you're getting these 5 things together. So the first chunk of time that this person who put up this schedule said was prepare. So the first 3 hours of the day they have as prepare. It doesn't necessarily have to be 3 hours, but here's the main points of that. And this includes from the second you wake up, having a morning routine. And this can be very simple, but it's a good way to set yourself up for a positive day, especially right now. It's so easy. And I admittedly have been getting up at all kinds of hours of the morning. I'm way out of whack. So this is my week to get on track. Like Shannon, like you said, the fog is kind of lifted. Last week, business started rolling again, and I need to get back to a routine. So I'm waking up. I am doing yoga right away for 20, 30 minutes. And then I'm preparing myself mentally for the day. So, that's doing some kind of exercise as a part of that. If you're someone who journals, it's a good time to just sort of check in. Even if you're not writing it down, just like do a check-in. How am I feeling today? What am I worried about? What do I know I need to focus on? What am I giving myself a hard time about? What do I feel like I need today? Also, I find affirmations to be really helpful. I'm a super positive person, but there are many times when that little voice in my head is very negative. So having just a little mantra that you say to yourself, or finding some affirmations on YouTube, there's a lot of good sources for that are free and easy to grab. And it's just a moment to say, I'm doing my best. I got this. Today is going to be a great day. I'm going to make it a great day. Also, physically being set up for the day. So that means showering, brushing your teeth, maybe doing your hair as best you can as it grows out. I'm definitely getting a little mullety thing going on back here. Getting dressed, not just in sweatpants, putting on some jewelry, just being ready physically for the day can put you in a different mindset and at least helps me be more structured. I feel more accountable to myself when I'm not in like relaxation mode. Congrats on the beard trimming, Peter. So just little things like that can make a big difference. The next piece, they had a pivot call on here. I think what I find to be really motivating is to do something educational. And that could be many things. It could just be something inspiring. So it could be watching Simon Sinek on YouTube. It could be reading a new book that, you know, kind of helps you refocus, gives you some momentum, you know, some good information to help you feel confident stepping into your workday. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be, you know, 30 minutes to do something like that, or you give yourself an hour or two. You know, but having that time to prepare for the day. So having a morning routine, getting up at the same time, physically preparing yourself, mentally preparing yourself, and then giving yourself a little education and inspiration is a really good way to motivate and set the tone for the day, and just have that be your regular, how you act every morning. You know, maybe after that is when you start checking your email and kind of, you know, spend a little bit of time in there just getting things handled for the day. The next chunk of time is a 3-hour chunk of time just for prospecting. And when I saw this, I felt overwhelmed. That's a lot of time to be making phone calls, and I'm not a back-to-back phone call person. But the cool thing is there's all kinds of other things you can be doing that are in there. This is, I've said this before, but this is an incredibly unique and rare time where people are happy to talk to you, answer their phone, reply to comments and DMs and text messages pretty quickly because they're so accessible and way less distracted for most people than they usually are. So this is a beautiful opportunity for you to reach out and connect with people. Social media is one way you can do that. For me, that's way more fun. It feels more natural. I do a ton of it, sometimes too much, so I have to regulate myself, but that's one way you can do it. You can make phone calls, just check in on people, you know, care calls, seeing if there's anything you can provide. Last week on Saturday, where all these showings were happening, earlier in the week, I bought masks from a local maker. I asked some people in my sphere, especially healthcare workers or people working in service industry still, who may need them. And then I went out and hung little bags on their doors and just did like a quick pop by. It was a chance for me to get out in the fresh air. I wasn't interacting with people directly, but I was checking in with them, providing something of value. I put a little card in there that had my like business info in the back of it, but it wasn't about real estate. It was just providing them something of value. You don't have to do something that costs money. You can check in and see if they need help, you know, navigating whatever's happening out there. You can provide an inspirational video, you know, a mantra that you're using during this time. So there are things of value you can offer that don't cost you any money. But that's another thing that you can do. You can also send handwritten notes. I love getting handwritten notes. I love sending handwritten notes. There's just something really special and thoughtful and personal about that. And the turnaround takes a little bit of time. So if you do that in combination with some calls, some social media touches, video text, whatever it is, that's another fun thing that you can do. And I understand that not everybody has an 11-hour block of their day uninterrupted to do all this stuff. So set a time that works for you. Do it for an hour. See how that goes. Do it for 2 hours. You know, like build it into what works for you and build it around all the great content that our office and Keller Williams is putting out as well. You know, our meetings, coffee with a capper, stuff like that. You have to kind of adjust to work around those things. And then the last piece is maintain. This is a 5-hour block, which I would probably adjust slightly as well, depending on how your day needs to be set up. But they have in there command updates for 30 minutes. So based on your contacts with people, go into command. This is that one of your 5 things. You've got at least 100 people in there. Track your contacts with them. This is going to be really informative later when you start to get business and you're like, where did it come from? Oh yeah, I contacted this person back during COVID. So it's just good to quick note. I contacted this person. I sent them a note in the mail. I contacted this person. I talked to them on social media. You're going to learn things about, you know, birthdays and stuff. Add them in. So just a quick update on there. Take an hour for lunch. Don't do any work. Just do lunch. Take a little time. Breather. Reset. Peter, no working during lunch. You can tell me the same thing. And then a mindset break, which I think is great, which is just like 30 minutes, go for a walk, do a little meditation, just disengage from work for 30 minutes and give yourself some time. And then time for virtual appointments. This is an excellent, excellent time to practice those. Even if they're not actual potential customers, even if they're each other, you can do this with each other through FaceTime, through Zoom, Skype. Practice your buyer agency chat, practice your listing presentation, practice walking through an offer, talking about an inspection. If you don't have appointments with potential clients, make appointments with somebody. Have an accountability meeting. Just get in the habit of having appointments every day. At least one every day. It's a great habit to get into, because then what you'll start to notice is when you don't have one, you feel like your day is missing something and you're much more motivated to get appointments scheduled. Very, very helpful to getting business going. Anytime I start to slow down, anytime I feel like I'm losing momentum, anytime my mindset isn't right where I want it to be, if I just focus on getting an appointment, whatever the appointment is, just to have it scheduled and have it happen and feel like I made some headway on my day is really key. So I highly recommend doing that as well. And it ties right into your top 5 beautifully and could very well lead to business too. And then the last part is wrap up and plan, which I think is huge. So you're wrapping up your day, you're checking your email one more time, you're making sure you've tied up loose ends, but more importantly, you're planning tomorrow. My most successful days are when I have planned the day before. And I give myself an hour total for like a wrap up and then a plan for tomorrow. It takes away that panicky feeling that I'm missing something. It makes me feel like I'm in control. It gives me a very clear directive as to where my attention should be, right? Like we can't technically control time. We all have the same 24 hours. The thing we can control is our attention and our focus. And the better we use our time, the more we can get out of it. So you don't have to have an 11-hour scheduled day. If you can hit those main points and you can schedule it out the day before, do that. Give yourself some grace with this too. If you need more, you know, mindset time, if you need more breaks, I've mentioned it before, I highly recommend using a Pomodoro timer. It's where you have 25 minutes of work time and a 5-minute breather, and then 25 minutes work time and a 5-minute breather. And after a few chunks of those times, you get a 30-minute breather. That break time in between is just as important as the work time. It's something I have a hard time sticking to, but I will tell you the times that I'm burning out is the times that I'm not taking breaks at all. And the amount of time it takes me and the energy it takes me to get back from that to actually being productive is so much wasted time. It's climbing up a steep hill to get back to where I was. So just give yourself some grace and take some breaks. You you know, the slower pace of the world right now allows you a little bit of that time, but also keep in mind that having this structure is going to allow you that focused, named time to work on specific things. And having that structure is going to help you feel accomplished. It's going to help you feel confident. It's going to help you feel ready. Don't wait around for the market to start again. The market's happening right now. It's your choice if you want to be a part of it or not. And the more you're a part of it now, the more business you're going to have when we get back into the routine of things. But it's happening right now. You saw those numbers. It'll be interesting to see April numbers come out. But I'm telling you, business is still happening. It's still out there. Don't just sit back and feel like, well, there's nothing going on, so I'll just wait it out. Or I guess I'll just work on a couple of things, but I know it's going to be hard to get any appointments, so what's the point? There are things happening right now. It's your choice if you want to focus your attention on making business happen, feeling ready to make business happen, you know, and making sure that you're creating some great habits along the way. Taking a break once in a while, watching your time use, planning the day ahead, setting yourself up mentally and physically at the beginning of the day, remembering to include some education, and accountability is great. All those pieces I think are really a great way to get yourself in the right headspace and feel like you're really accomplishing something every day. And if all you can get through is an hour of lead generation, you know, prospecting, contacting people, then make that your focus and just really put your heart into it. Everybody's in a different situation, so not everybody has that block of time to work with. But if you do, schedule it out. Really make use of it. That's not going to change when COVID's passed. You're still going to have a full day that you have to figure out what to do with. And driving place to place aimlessly without a plan, spending a half an hour figuring out what you're doing for lunch, you don't have time for that. Take the time to plan the day ahead. The only other thing I'll say, I was looking at a chart that I had posted on Instagram, and I'll post it to the launch group. But it's a circle graph, and in one it says, here's how you're successful, working hard, and it's just one big circle of working hard. That's what everybody thinks is how it goes. And then the other one, the working hard's only a quarter of the pie. The rest of it is exercising, eating healthy, sleeping enough, taking time off, and then hard work is a quarter of that. So that's a good visual to keep in mind as well. When you're splitting up your day, make sure that you're utilizing your time in a smart way. You're focusing your attention to make the most of these smaller blocks of time. You're connecting with people, you're finding things that give you energy, and you're also allowing yourself some grace and some breaks and some time to breathe in between. You know, this affects everybody in a little bit different way, and so it's important to recognize what your thresholds are. You know, you don't have to push yourself massively hard to the point where you're resisting and not getting anything done. So there's a happy medium in there. So I'm going back into the notes here. I don't know who this is from, but it says, in my area, I have noticed several FSBO signs. I'm not sure if it's because people don't want to have direct contact with the public, or do you have any tips on how I can indirectly contact a seller and be able to explain to them the current market and why an agent is still useful? So I mentioned that a little bit before, but I know, Peter, you're in this situation as well. So I think broad perspective, whether you're talking to, oh, hi, is it Shimon? Hi. Whether you're talking to a for sale by owner seller or just somebody who's considering selling, maybe they even took their house off the market for a little while, this would fall into your prospecting, and it could fall into your appointments for the day. What I would recommend doing is use the information we're getting from the meetings from Charlie. Every week he's providing us information about you know, new listings and how the prices are coming up, demand. You can even pull up that certain area of that house that neighborhood or that municipality to see what the prices have done in the last 3 weeks. That's a tighter look at what's happening, and you can go further back in terms of what an appraiser is going to look at, right? They go back maybe as far as 6 months, 3 to 4 ideally, to see what has sold, and you can give them some indication of value, market price. You can also tell them what's happening with activity. You know, we're seeing a little bit slower, a little longer days on market, but we're seeing good prices. Prices continue to increase. Buyers are still out there. You know, look at their type of home, the size, you know, if it's different from what's in the area, and see how those types of homes are being snatched up by buyers. So I have somebody who has a condo to sell. We've been doing single party listings for months. They have hemmed and hawed about what to do with that condo, and I have had buyers in that price point, and I've been out there looking, and I can say from that experience, and also from looking at what the market's doing, how quickly those are going and how good the prices are looking on those versus list price. And there is still activity, because let's be honest, whoever's out there right now is a serious buyer. Nobody's going out there just looky-looing for the most part in this market with the mask and the gloves and all the stuff. Like, if they're putting themselves through that, if they're risking their health, your health, they are most likely very serious buyers. So you're less likely to get people who are goofing around, people who have a pre-approval are ready to go. The other cool thing is, because of what's happening on the health front right now, you can, without it being offensive, say pre-approval required for all showings. You know, before you come in for the showing, when I had those showings on Saturday, I knew the location was going to be a problem for some people. And so when I scheduled those appointments with those agents, I highly encouraged their buyer to go on a little drive through the neighborhood, check out the location, notice there's no backyard, all that kind of stuff that becomes annoying, that you're accommodating showings that aren't serious buyers, that aren't taking the time to make sure this is really worth the trip. Now is a great time to very reasonably say, we want to make sure whoever's coming through the door is serious and likes what they're seeing from the outside, from the location, from all the details. It's important you're really taking the time to cover all that stuff with buyers right now. So you can tell a seller, you're not going to be accommodating people who don't know what they want. You're not going to be accommodating people who are just figuring out whether they want to buy or not. We are looking at serious buyers who are ready to write an offer, who are pre-approved. We have their pre-approval. This is a great time to not be monkeying around. And that's not always true in spring, right? Tons of people are out in spring. It's a total bonanza. People just want to like get into it, even if they're not ready to write an offer. So you're way more likely to get somebody who's serious, who has a solid job. All those things right now are very reasonable to ask for, to clarify, to expect. And so as a seller, I'd feel much more confident and comfortable knowing that. You're not going to get somebody who decides on a whim and gets a last minute pre-approval and then has buyer's remorse. So I think some of those pieces can be really, really helpful for sellers to know, because everybody's assuming business is stopped and slowed everywhere. And the media is saying that real estate is dropping and suffering, and that's not the whole story. So tell the story, be the expert. And if you have somebody who's a health risk and they're living in their home, then be their advocate and say, here's what's happening right now, but we're expecting the market to pick back up as soon as people can be out and about more. So that's still a good time to go on the market. I think as much as we can prepare ahead of time is great. So as soon as we see people getting back out there, we can go on the market. You know, so whether that means they're comfortable setting up a photography session ahead of time, or just setting up a virtual tour for you to help them prepare some things to get their home ready. You set up a virtual meeting with a stager. There's all these things you can do in advance. Gather all those details so you're ready to put it into MLS. Tell them the advantage of putting it in delayed status to get all that stuff going, to start the advertising and be ready to rock by the time they're comfortable having people come look at the house. So it's a really, there's a lot of neat opportunity here that we don't typically see. They have a little breather You know, we're more likely to have that spring pop happen late spring, early summer, which normally, you know, by June, especially 4th of July, things start to slow down a little bit, and we are less likely to see that because there's some pent up demand and pent up listings. It's also a good time to get out there as a seller if you want less competition of other homes for sale. If it's a great home, priced right, shows well, less competition can be good. So there are a lot of positives to it, but just keep in mind that you also want to be there as their advocate. And if this is not a good health situation for them, then let's make a plan to maximize their success as soon as it's safe for them. And I think that's true for buyers too. Anybody else facing some challenges or have had some successes or victories in the last week or two when it comes to your top 5 or making some headway on business? Anybody?
Hi.
Even something small?
I've got something.
Yay! All right.
Hi, sorry I got on a little bit late. So I have a friend that I've known forever. She was actually, when I first started my furniture restoration business, she was my first client. And now she wants to buy a house finally. So once she gets her taxes done, she already has, I recommended 2 different bankers that I'm really good friends with. And she was like, who were they again? So I sent her the links again. And I was like, there's a guy, there's a girl, flexible, different stuff. So she went on and she will get her pre-approval as soon as she files her taxes, and it'll take no time. So then we're going to start shopping, and it's going to be freaking awesome because she's wonderful. So we're going to get her out of this terrible situation of every time she rents a new apartment, they sell the building. This is the second time here. So I'm like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I don't know, not deal with this ever again. So we went through, like, I sent her an MLS thing the other day, and I was like, just look through this, tell me what you think, I can give you all the details. And we went through the whole list, and she's like, now she and I both know she wants under 180. She wants to be in West Dallas. I know what area. So we're getting her set up for success. When she's ready to rock and roll, we're going to go in hard. So that's
awesome. Woo! That's great. That brings up a really excellent point too. I've had a few buyers who are, they're not in a position where their job is at risk. They're just feeling like maybe it's not the right time to be on the market. And my point to them is that, you could call it a script. Think about how much you're going to be paying somebody else's mortgage for 12 months. You're talking like $12,000 plus for the most part across the market. $1,000 a month, you know, a little less than that. That's a ton of money. That's a down payment. That's a significant chunk out of your mortgage. And also, we know interest rates are low right now. And the anticipation is that'll be true through this year. We don't know how they'll react next year. And we know that prices are still going up. So home prices are going up. The interest rate is a question mark and can drastically change your monthly payment. And in the meantime, you're paying out over $12,000 to somebody else's mortgage. So if you really don't want to be paying someone else's mortgage and you want to take the opportunity now while the prices are a little better than they'll be next year, while the interest rates are good, this is a great time to get out there as a buyer. And like I mentioned before, if you are, if you have somebody who is a little hesitant about getting out there because they think that there's a ton of competition, they're really turned off by 5+ offers on a house. Now I keep telling people, it's a magical little window in the market where we have some spring momentum still. We have some new listings. We have better weather for showings. We can see the roof. It's not covered in snow, at least not right now. And there's less likely to be massive competition. They should still expect prices to go over asking in many cases if they're priced reasonably, but They're not going to be in this, you know, revolving door of a house showings with 10 other people, and it's stressful, and they feel like they are overwhelmed. If that kind of personality is what they have, and they're feeling comfortable about their job situation, get them out there now. Those stimulus checks went out this week. Like, people should start seeing that $1,200 in their account. And if they don't need it to make up for a job loss or hours being cut back, maybe it's time to invest that into something that's going to pay them back later. Let's see, I had another question here from somebody. I have unhappy buyers after finding plumbing issues after close. I'd like to find a way to comfort them about their decision on buying this home. There's a lot of specifics to that, so I think we should go about that offline. But all along the way, my general rule of thumb when working with buyers is, and I tell them outright in our buyer consultation, I am here to help you make informed decisions that you feel good about, that are best for you. And my goal is for you to feel good about your purchase. And so whatever I can do up front to help people avoid having that like buyer's remorse is a lot more of setting expectations and education along the way. That sounds like something that should have come up in inspection. And if it didn't, it's something that could have been set as an expectation when you talked about purchasing a home, like in the buyer consultation, while you're showing houses, talking about how owning a home is a responsibility, and there's going to be costs, expected and unexpected, and that's all part of that investment. So it's good to plan ahead for that. If people are at their very, very limit with their down payment, maybe they pull it back a little bit so they have some cash on hand. Maybe their best scenario is to have a home warranty. It's a $500 investment, can definitely be worth that investment, and can help them through those first 12 months or maybe 18, depending on the program. So those things that you can do proactively to help people feel comfortable and at least anticipate those potential issues down the line, I think that's what helps. People get upset when things catch them off guard, right? Like getting blindsided by something is not good. So helping them see what's coming, or helping them set their expectations so they feel in control, I think is going to help avoid a lot of those feelings. And that could be as detailed as sharing an inspection report before you go on the inspection from someone else, cross out the names, and then help them set those expectations for what that's going to look like and what are they willing to address or not down the line. Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, sorry to chime in on this. It's kind of a sticky situation because we closed. I was there for the inspection. They did a pretty thorough job, but after they found out that there was something loose in the bathroom and they took off the shower head, there was a whole world of problems behind there with mold and things like that. And they had a plumber, a licensed professional, come in suggesting they should not move in to the property until this is rectified. The licensed professional also suggested that the condition report was false, that there's no way that they didn't know about this. You know, they're obviously unhappy because they just bought this property. They don't have tons of funds to be able to take care of this right after buying this property, especially considering they both work in the restaurant industry, so they were both laid off, unfortunately. And I mean, these were kind of growing pains that I've tried to express to them. I guess I'm trying to help them through these growing pains without suggesting that it's going to cost them tons of money to fix this. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just trying to make sure that I don't lose them as a potential reference, or that, you know, they feel that they made a good investment, because after this, that the property is still very, very solid, and you know, that they don't need to make this a legal situation, which they are considering.
So I think your role, you know, prior to this happening and after this happening, and all of our roles as agents, especially continuing that communication, that relationship, is that we're serving as a source of information, and that we're pointing out the things that they may not be considering that are positives, like why they bought the house in the first place, the fact that it is a good investment, you know, the resource of having maybe a second opinion from another licensed plumber, you know, helping them get some quotes, that sort of thing, providing that information.
I did recommend that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think doing that and saying, you know, you have options here. You're not stuck. You can get an attorney involved. That's beyond my licensure, but I can help you connect with an attorney if you need it. If you want to get another quote, it's not a bad idea. So I can connect you with some other plumbers. I'd give them more than one name just to give them some options. Things to consider, they are at high emotional levels right now. Things are very uncertain, and that's not necessarily where their heads were when they closed on the property. Their jobs are at risk, their income isn't happening. That is a huge part of why they're feeling this way right now. And
that's why I'm looking for the advice on the comfort level, because everything about this situation, we weren't able to celebrate when they closed because we were all in quarantine. Some of them were laid off. I mean, there's a lot of things that, and then all of a sudden they've found this to boot, which, you know, I could see from their perspective, they feel like all of a sudden, you know, I mean, that when it rains, it pours kind of scenario, and everything
be the
is
sunshine, be the sunshine in their storm. Just provide them the best information you can, offer to help however you can, connect them with people who can help them remember why they purchased this home in the first place. Let them know that they are, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that, you know, there are resources out there. If not being able to pay their mortgage is a concern, you know, use your resources in whoever their lender was that they worked with, or Brian Clute. You could use somebody who's a reputable resource to help them just know what their options are with that. You know, I think explaining to them where the market is right now, so that they know, you know, it's not like they bought high and now people are selling low. Just kind of help dispel some of those concerns, and maybe just ask them, like, how can I provide you information to help you navigate this? Or what are your top concerns right now? And just listen. You know, some people just need to be heard.
Some of it is kind of a liability thing, because they could maybe talk to a lawyer, but I don't necessarily know that that's in their best interest. But I don't necessarily want to get involved with them if they decided to contact a lawyer, because I think that trying to prove that the previous owner knew about the situation. I mean, that's kind of a he said, she said thing, and I think that this would be a huge headache. And between calling a lawyer, going through that whole process, they could have already had it fixed, been done, and moved on with their lives. And I guess
I mean, you can tell them they're
a latter position on that, so they could start enjoying a new home. But I don't know what the liability is. I mean, I'm not giving them legal advice. I guess I'm giving them more of an idea of just path of least resistance, maybe.
I would say you have some options.
There's a question in there. I just know that I'm trying to make sure that they're
no,
happy
I think you could say you have some options. You could talk to an attorney. The attorney is going to be your best resource on that, but consider that's going to cost you money and time, and this may not be able to get fixed in the meantime. Or you can address the issue, and it may be good for you to look at the costs and time frame and how, you know, what that is going to look like for you. We can talk more about that offline, but I want to get back to the group.
Okay.
Just
Thank
to
you.
check on. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, you do have to be careful not to give legal advice. So.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So Peter, do you mean the Bayview house that I had listed?
I guess, yeah, the Bayview house that you had listed and the one that I'm going to tomorrow. I just wanted to show you what he's got and what he's expecting. I think his expectations may be a little aggressive on the pricing. I think like some flippers that I've run into, he had to put a lot of money into things that people won't see, and he's not necessarily going to get that back out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a cute house.
Yeah. Yeah. This is something I come across often with flippers. If they don't purchase the property with the assistance of a knowledgeable real estate agent, they have a totally inflated idea of what they can sell the house for later, and they're totally blind to any of the challenges of things that they cannot change. And the ones who really don't know, they don't have their numbers down well, they end up putting way more in than they thought they needed to. Right? There's like a spectrum of people out there who flip homes or remodel homes. And if you come in after all that's happened, it's a whole different deal than if you were there from the beginning and could give them advice and could, you know, help them find a great property to start with that's going to flip well. So I think if you look at it from the perspective of what are the challenges, what are the benefits for a buyer, and what can we find as comparables as best we can, because it's not your opinion of the price, it's what the market's doing, right? So when it comes to price, we have to convince buyers, we have to convince agents who know the history, who know the neighborhood, buyers who are obsessively on Zillow, and hopefully our app. And you have to convince appraisers, and appraisers are looking backwards up to 6 months within a 3 or 4 block radius, similar size, style, updates of home. Those are our audiences. So whatever I think your house is worth is not what we're dealing with right now. It's these 3 audiences, and how does this line up with what these people are expecting? Because ultimately that's what's going to determine what it's going to sell for, how fast it's going to sell, and whether it's going to appraise once you get an accepted offer. So using the statistics to back that up, I think, are key. Anybody else have some victories for the week or the last 3 weeks, or something you're excited about today?
Well,
having a look forward to is a good thing. Yeah.
I got a listing appointment tomorrow with a guy who's got a house that he can't sell yet. And I was just doing the D2. I called a guy that I had known a while ago. I just, you know what, I'm not going to skip any calls. I don't know what I can do for this guy, but it turned into he wants to buy a home sometime in the next few months, and he's got 60K in the bank.
Nice.
So that's good. I've got a deal toward close. We've got the inspection contingency waived. We had the appraisal Friday, so just waiting to make sure it meets the FHA standards. I'm going to steal an idea from Shannon that she shared and go out and do some touches in our neighborhood. My daughter got her license at the beginning of April, so we're going to do her neighborhood and my neighborhood and Facebook the hell out of it, and just have fun doing it.
Yes.
I got my taxes back last night. And I said to my accountant this morning when I called him to check on a couple of things, I've never made less money, but I've never been happier.
That's temporary, Peter. You will make more money, I guarantee it.
I love what I'm doing, and I love the way Keller Williams' ethos fits with the way that I try to live my life. I made a commitment to live in gratitude. And when we spent a whole day on bold and gratitude, I thought, wow, this really fits. So I sometimes get a little emotional, but this is so cool.
Awesome.
I totally agree. And that gratitude is an important part of that morning routine, how you set up your day, how you end your day. I have a little block in my schedule book that says like things, best thing that happened, what I learned today, you know, just a one word about what you're grateful for, to start your day, to end your day. You can write it down or not, but just taking that moment to be grateful for what we have when it's easy to look at all the things that are not what we have right now, I think is so huge. It's so important to give yourself that energy and that positive vibe. It's just going to burst out and help other people, especially right now. And people are just attracted to that positive, however you can find it. You know, don't feel like you have to fake it. If you're in your feels, be in your feels a little bit, but you know, if you're taking a moment to be grateful every day, whenever that works for you. I think that's huge. I think that's awesome.
And I also haven't argued with anyone on Facebook about politics since last August.
Yay! Keep it out of social media. Unless you have something positive to say. I am a huge advocate for only putting good out there in general.
Puppies and unicorns, that's it.
Definitely.
Good things about what's happening in the real estate market, why you're excited about what you're doing, things you can push out there to help other people. This is an excellent time to build your community on social media or through calls and texts. It's an excellent time to really hone your place in the world as a knowledgeable real estate reference, as a positive force in the world, as somebody who advocates for other people, who comes from contribution. If you do that stuff, I'm telling you, the business just comes. It just happens because people are attracted to that. They trust you. They see you as somebody who is worthy of their business, as somebody who works hard and is always trying to do a better job, that they want to be connected with, and they feel comfortable and proud to share with their sphere. So I think if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling caught up in a situation with a client, back away, look big picture, think about what you're really doing every day. Setting your mind right, getting your body right, taking a shower, thinking about gratitude, doing a little exercise, getting some fresh air, continuing to educate yourself and expand your mind, giving yourself some thinking time just to reflect on what's going on, where you want to be, what you have to do to get there, reaching out to people and prospecting, and then planning the next day, making sure you're getting appointments. It's really the key. It sounds so simple. It can get kind of boring. Charlie has said that before. Success is boring. It's repetitive. It can get old. So find the joy in it and continue to be consistent. That is so key. It's so key. If you start doing something and you think, I got it, I can just let the wheels fall off, everything's happening, business is going, I'm gonna get all caught up in what I'm doing. As soon as you get away from that structure that helps you be successful, that structure that helps you accomplish things every day and focus your attention, as soon as you get away from that stuff, suddenly it all evaporates. And it's not just because COVID's happening, it's because you kind of fell off the rail. So give yourself some grace, recognize this is a weird time, take some time to plan how you're gonna use your week, how you're gonna use your next day, and then just stick to it and keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Keep going back to that gratitude. Keep going back to giving yourself breaks between your work time. Keep going back to your list of contacts and bringing joy to people every day. It's really, really how you do business. I'm speaking from experience. This is what happens. This is how you can do it. You know, people see my numbers and they're like, you're an animal. It's amazing. Like, no, dude, I'm doing regular stuff. Everybody can do it. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all have different life situations. We all have different spheres. You know, I'm not coming from a high number sphere. My average sale price is like 2 to 250. So I'm cranking out these numbers on volume, on number of transactions, on people I'm touching. And that's my focus. You know, like everybody's got an advantage or a disadvantage, but it's about using it in the best way and just putting good out there, and it'll work, but you just have to stick with it. You've got to give yourself structure, and you can't get caught up in all the little things or the setbacks. You've got to have something to come back to keep you on track, keep going. And I highly recommend having accountability set up for yourself. So you utilize each other, you know, get on the Facebook group and check in. Hey, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? Or set up a time where one of your appointments is where you're checking in with somebody in the group. You're checking in with somebody you trust. You're checking in with somebody you don't want to disappoint. You know, use that time to keep yourself accountable, because right now it's a lot harder. You know, we're not going into the meeting on Tuesday and talking to people and having the chit chat and hearing other people around us talk about what they're getting done and feeling like, oh, I really got to get on top of things. We don't have that right now. So build it in. Just build it in as one of your appointments. You know, really stick to a schedule of how you're going to use your day and your energy and your attention, and you're going to see things happen. And the more traction you can get now with that stuff, your top 5, you know, communicating and connecting with people, putting positive out there, it's going to start snowballing. So don't feel like you're behind. Don't feel like you can't do this stuff because you're new. Don't feel like you can't do any of these things because you've barely gone on showings. It doesn't matter. It's all about where you're coming from. You know, start with giving yourself a structure, focus on gratitude, put good out there, keep connecting with people, give yourself some grace. You know, and when you get lost, come back to that top 5 and see where you are with those things. Because if that stuff's all wonky, it's probably why you feel like you're not on solid ground. That's all I got.
Cool.
You ready to go kill it? You ready to have a day? Get out there and do something great. Put out some good vibes. Celebrate those little victories. Make an appointment. Set up some accountability. Get back to your top 5. Go do some business. I super look forward to seeing what you're all doing next week. So get at it. Put some stuff on the Facebook group. Tell me how it's going. Those of you I haven't connected with on by phone, you may be hearing from me this week. So yeah, just everybody keep rolling. Keep doing what's going to serve you best, what's going to serve your people best. There's plenty of time in the day to make some positive change out there and in your business. Cool?
Thank you so much, Amanda.
Right. You're welcome.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Amanda.
day,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, no,
Bye.
it wasn't.
You're welcome.
Miss you
Have a
guys.
great day.
Yeah, same. Bye. Have a good day.
You,